Hello students, welcome you in a standard 9th standard CBC. Today we are going to deal with English. In English we have two textbooks. Firstly, Beehive, in which we have prose and poetry. Near about 21 units we have to study in this textbook. And secondly, we have a collection of 10 stories in a book, Moments. So today we'll deal with the first lesson in a Beehive. The name of the lesson is Fun They Had. It is a science fiction. Generally, you know that stories are written on a various topics, just like some of the stories have historical background. In a similar way, this story has a science background, scientific background, so it is known as a science fiction. Before we start this lesson, actually, instead of that, we'll take introductory part. Now we'll read before we read. Now in this one we have in the first activity we'll see the story we shall read is set in a future, and when a books and schools as we now know them will perhaps not exist. So now in this actually story, we have a comparison between modern today's schools and schools in future. Maybe in future, there will not be any school. You have to study in your home only at a corner. Particularly, you have to sit before the computer screen and you have to study. A particularly mechanical or robotic teacher or instructor will come to you and teach you like this way. So in a way, we will see this schools of the future. In a picture, we have seen that in a first at a corner, learning through the computers. This might happen in a future. Then a robotic teacher, robotic instructor is there also, and a virtual classroom. So you don't have to go to school buildings, you don't have to go to school. In your home only, you have to sit before the computer and you have to learn your actual tasks, everything. Then moving e-text in your computer, everything will be downloaded, and you have to just move your screen. You have to see everything on your screen. You have to submit your task on a computer only. So everything will happen in a particularly soft copy format. Now we have printed books printed on paper, but in the future they may not exist. So on this background we have to study this story. And now this, how will the children study then? So if you don't have any books, nowadays we have printed books, but before in future they may not be exist. And at that time, how they will study? So at that time, they may use soft copy computer screen and everything like this. And because of that, it is possible for them to study further. The diagram below may given you some ideas, so by that way we can understand. Now we'll shift to the second point. So future schools may have a use of computer and computer screen, everything they will get on a computer screen, and like that way. Next, we in the pairs discuss the three things that actually you like the best about your school, and three things about your school, and you needed to like to change. Write them down. Now in this activity, what you like about your school and what you needed in your school. So three things that you actually like about your school, that you may say that you have this precious playground, tall huge building of your school. About nearby you have trees, greenery over there, well equipped science lab, you have good teachers, you can mention like this way. And what you expect from actually more activities, more actually the facilities from your school, just like a good library, everything like that way you can mention. You can write down these things, you can write down your points there. So what you expect, what actually quality, what actually what type of the requirements you have regarding school. Now we'll see, we'll go to the third actual section regarding this one. Have you ever read words on a television screen or actually computer screen? And can you imagine the time when all the books will be on a computer, means in a soft format, and there will be actually no books printed on paper? And would you like such actually books better? Now here we have comparison between this with some actually plus points and negative points also we have regarding this one. Please pay attention to this one. Suppose if you have ebook, it means that there will not be any storage problem. Suppose you have thousands and lakhs of the books in a library, you need more space to store them, you need to preserve them, you need to take care of them, and it is not possible for you to find it very easily. But suppose all these books if you have in your soft copy format, then it is very easy for you in a small space within your mobile phone. You will get everything in that particular mobile phone. Just you have to write the click the button and you'll get the particular book on your mobile phone. So it is storage will not be problem regarding this one. But in a case of from other point of view, if you think, suppose on your birthday particular person has given you a book as a gift to you, so you preserve it and you are emotionally attached to that. But this will not happen in case of soft copy. So each and every from this point of view, both actual books have their importance as well as their utility and emotional attachment. Before we start this story, we'll revise all the things once again. So firstly we'll get idea regarding the future school, then what things you require for your school, what you expect from, what things you feel better, and what you think what things you required in your school that we have seen. Last we have seen that what is your opinion regarding e-books and printed books. So that is all regarding this one in the introductory part. So by this introduction we understand that it is something about study, teaching, school. Now we have to compare the things, the modern schools means present day schools and the schools in future. So now at the very beginning we have a character of Maggie and Tommy. Now here these two actually children belong to the now look at this actually, look at the year mentioned in the textbook there, 2157. So they belong to that particular period, that is a future period. And now we'll start the story exactly. The Maggie even actually wrote about that night in her diary. So the textbook, the story begins with the Maggie, the first character, the major character, on a page headed 17 May 2157. Year is mentioned there. So it is this we can, by this way we can understand that the story belongs to the future. She wrote, today Tommy found a real book. So what is the meaning of the real book? So real book means that the book which is in a printed format, in a print format, not in a e format. So the books we presently use, so that is a real book. So it was a very old book. So now we can understand that new book and old book. So how can we understand that the book is new or like that? If the pages of the book tone or actually they are turn their color into yellow or like that, by can that we can understand that yeah, it's an old book. So by that day understand that it's an old book. Maggie's grandfather once said that when he was old, he was a little boy. His grandfather told him that there was a time when all the stories were printed on paper. So now here the two characters actually they are discussing. So Mag and Tommy, they belong to the future period. So they found a particular book which is in a print format, which is very old, and by that way we can understand that here that they have mentioned that that book belongs to their grandfather's grandfather. It means that at least 6 generations we have to go back. And so how can means these children don't know the books were earlier printed, actually student use in a printed format on a paper. So they know only ebooks. And so it is a very curious thing for them. They told him that there was a time when all the stories were printed on a paper. So this was the period when all stories were printed on paper. And they turn the pages. So now suppose if you want to read the book, then you have to turn the page of the book, and which were yellow and crinky. So here we get the meaning of this crinky with actually many folds or actually here lines. So here and it was actually carefully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to. So in a e format, suppose we have book in a computer screen, so we can scroll it upward and downward. We can change or shift the page by that scrolling only. But in case of the real book, what happened, what we have to do, just we have to turn a page. So while turning page we have to lift that page and we have to turn that, and then we have to shift to next page. But in case of computer, in case of ebook, it doesn't happen. Just we have to scroll upward and downward. By that way we can move ahead. So this was the new thing for them. if you wanted and in case of the ebook, what happened in a case of the computer on a computer screen, the words move. But in case of this one, we have to page, we have to, in a case of concrete book, we have to, in a printed book, we have to turn a page just to go ahead. So now they turned the pages which were yellow and crinky. It was awfully funny to read the words that stood still of the moving the way they were actually supposed to. But they compare that. Means in case of ebook, what happened? In case of the printed book, what happened? On screen, you know that them actually when they turned back to the page before, it had the same word that it had it had when they read it the first time. So in case of printed books, just we have to turn a page, then only the words we can go ahead. But in case of the printed in an ebook, we have to just scroll ahead and go ahead in that particular way while reading. And I'll go to the second paragraph. He said Tommy, what a waste. When you are through the book with the book, you just throw it away. So she don't like that particular book. She don't like that idea also, because so in case of the soft books in e-copy, they have many facilities. You can scroll upward, downward. But in case of this is in all these things absent in case of the printed book. I guess our television screens must have been millions of the books on it. So she compares that storage problem. Now here look at this, on a just single screen, on just single mobile phone, on single tv screen, on single computer, we have hundreds and lakhs of the books. So they are present before us within fraction of second. Now in case of the book, what happened? Just we have nearly 200 300 pages. Just it takes more space, but just we have one actually book, just it for just one book it requires more space. But in case of the in a similar way, but if you get the books in a soft format, they can actually accommodate a very small space. Our television screen must have had a million of books on it, and it's a good for the plenty more. I didn't actually I wouldn't throw it away. Same with mine, said Maggie. She was actually 11. Now Maggie was actually here, we can that she's 11 years old, and had not seen as many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. So here Tommy is older than Maggie by 2 years. So the difference of the 2 years there. So he might have studied more books than her. So she said, "Where did you find it?" In my house, he pointed without actually looking. So he found that particular book in his house, and he was busy in reading in attic. So now attic is a place where a space just below the roof used as a storeroom. So below the storeroom, we can say in Marathi potmala. So below that, it was found in that particular attic. Now she said, where did you find it? In my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading. In attic, what it about school. So now it was about school. He tells to her that it was about school. So she don't know the idea or concept of the school, because school from her point of view, just to sit in a corner in a particular room, and that is the e-learning, and she has to sit in front of the computer, and the computer or mechanical teacher or robotic teacher or instructor will come and teach her everything. So she don't know that idea. So present day we know that particularly school, what kind of school we have to go to school, we have big playground, we have big building, we have so many friends there, we have to play with along with them, we have to study together, we have to share and care everyone. So we have friendship, we have a lot of friends, we have so many friends in school, so we like to go to school. But in case of the Magi, it was not possible, because she has to see school means that she must sit in a corner of in a particular corner in front of the TV or computer screen and learn the things. So school means a very boring thing for her. Magi was actually scornful. School, what's that to be right about school? I hate school. She don't like the idea of the schooling, because just to sit in front of the computer screen and learn everything. So this is the idea, her idea about school means. So we can compare the modern schools, mean present day schools and future schools. So today we have to go to school, but in case of future, you don't need to go to school, just you have to sit in front of your TV or a computer screen and learn everything likewise. So Maggie always hated school, but now she hated it more than ever. The mechanical teacher had been giving her test after test in geography, so she hated it more just because that she was a very bad performance in geography. Mechanical teacher providing her test after test, but her performance is not very good, and that's why she don't like that idea. She hated the school. She had been doing worse and worse until her mother had shaken her head sorrowfully and sent for the country inspector. So now her mother also get tired of her, and just to remedy for that, she sent her to the country inspector. Now he was actually round little man with a red face and a whole box of tools with actual dials and wires. He smiled at Maggie and gave her an apple, then actually took the teacher apart. The Maggie had hope that he wouldn't know how to put it together again, but he knew how. All right. After an hour or so, she feels that she get a relaxation, and she will not get need that particular teacher or like that. So they will not force her like that. But her idea is wrong. Just within a few minutes, that particular problem is solved. Mark had actually hope he wouldn't actually know the would know how to put it together again, but he know all. And after an hour or so, there it was again, large and black, ugly, with all big screen, which actually all lessons were shown and questions were asked. That wasn't so bad. The part that Maggie hated. Now, we'll shift to the next paragraph. Told him that there was a time when all the stories were printed on paper. So most of the slot where she had to put the homework and the test papers. She had always had to read them out and in punch code. They made her learn when she was 6 years old. From 6 years she was actually facing this actually or going undergoing this learning process. She is just sitting in front of the computer, and computer teaches her like that in screen she must read everything likewise. And the mechanical teacher calculated the marks in a no time. So the mechanical teacher take very less time and very easily, very fastly the result is available before her. And this was all about first four paragraphs. We have seen that. We'll revise once again these paragraphs. First of all, we have seen that they found a particular Maggie and Tom, and they belong to the future period, and nearly 40 to 50 years ahead from this. And they have to adopt this e-learning facility. They don't need to go to the school, just they have to sit in front of the TV screen, and by that way they get in education. But presently we have actually modern schools. Here we have to go to school, and in school we have to carry out different activities. We have friends also there. We enjoy the school, but a lot of difference is there between these two. They found a particularly old book which was in a printed format, and they compare that particular book with their modern actually equipments, their soft copies. And the discussion goes on. This Maggie is not interested in a schooling. She don't like study also, just because of this mechanical process. And that's why we have seen in a second paragraph. Nextly we have seen that in the third paragraph, they talk about that particular book. So in this way we understood that just their idea of schooling, they found particular book, how they compare that particular book with their modern actually books, e-books. And this is all about in a second in actually next lecture we'll continue this story.